Hey folks, I am Kevin Ioli and welcome back to Yahoo Sports. We have a great fight on Saturday over at Apex. The main event of UFC Vegas 27 is going to be Rob Font, who is on a little bit of a roll, going up against the former bantamweight champion, Cody No Love Garbrandt. Cody joins me now. Cody, look forward to seeing you back in the cage. It's you haven't been in there enough recently. What's going on with you?
Man, COVID, COVID took a lot from me, man. But we're here, man. I'm excited. I'm almost a year removed from my knockout win over Sunsao, and just been working, training, and waiting for those opportunities to present, and obviously working to get healthy from the COVID that I had, and then here we are, man. Fight week, 4 days away. We're moved away from my main event title fight again, or main event slot against Rob Font. So, but yeah, I'm thinking title fight, but
You got the right mindset now. So,
that's right.
I want to, I mean, most young people, especially most young people in your healthy condition, don't necessarily have the kind of symptoms you had with COVID. How difficult was it? And what was your mindset like? Because I know you had pneumonia, you had mental fog, you had blood clots. I mean, it was kind of crazy, wasn't it? And how scared were you that there was something really seriously wrong with you?
I had vertigo, man. Vertigo was, and it would, some of those spells would last for hours, 6 to 8 hours, and then after it'd be nauseous and just like physically just sick, from that. And then obviously the pneumonia, that wasn't fun. And the blood clots, those were painful. Those were very painful. Yeah, it was tough. I mean, got through it. Luckily I have a good doctor that's very knowledgeable. It got me in with the right doctors, his resources that he had. It was a bummer, worst timing that I could have probably had, but I look at it like, it's the worst that happens to me. There's people that's losing their life, loved ones, and things over this, that I count my blessings at night that know that, I'll heal up from it. It was just one thing after another, boom, boom. I had, kind of string of events of the health with COVID that, had the residual effects from it. And, yeah, like I said, I count my blessings, man. Like I had a kidney infection and that took me out of the fight with the Sunsao in March in 2020 when, so I was like, that was the first time I was ever kind of like sick or had like kind of some kind of like health issue like that, besides like obviously breaking things and injuries on that stand front. So I was like, man, I'm never taking my health for granted ever again. I was in the hospital for 7 days, hooked up to an IV. I had penicillin dripped in me every 4 hours. So many labs being drawn, and I look back to my little buddy Maddox that had to go through what he had to go through with his battle with leukemia, and just never take life and health and being able to do little things like that daily. It's like, man, it opened up a lot, perspective. I think that's something that life always does with me. There's learning lessons in life throughout life that, kind of ground you and humble you in ways that you probably weren't ready for. But you prepare for them, and what we do, we're prepared for the worst of the worst, the lowest of the lows, and the highest of the highs.
One last question about that. I mean, you had it at the height, basically at the height of the pandemic when things were worse. And so what was it like, because people weren't even able to get into hospitals? I know like in Los Angeles, there was lines of people waiting to get into hospital. How was it for you in terms of being able to get care?
Like I said, my doctor he's been working with me for a few years now with a wide spectrum of whether it's injuries or infections or, stitches, anything that I need, I call him up and, hey, all right, pop right in. So very grateful to have his resources, his professionalism that allowed me to help out and get healthy, because I went 7 days in the hospital in Jersey. I went and saw a specialist in Cleveland, Ohio at the Cleveland Clinic when I had a kidney infection. And then it was about 2 weeks before I fought at Sunsao, the infection came back in my feet, my legs, to where I couldn't even walk. It was horrible. Then I found a infectious disease specialist. My doctor did, out in Sacramento. I went to this lady. Man, she was phenomenal. I mean, she did every single thing. I did 2 blood cultures in my arms to where I was on antibiotics I had to go to a fusion center and get dripped antibiotics in me 10 days in a row. So I literally would go train, go sit and get his antibiotic dripped in me for an hour or two, and then go back and train for leading up the last 2 weeks of the camp for a sunset just to get inside the octagon.
And then here we are bugging you about, hey, why have you lost 3 in a row? Right? I mean, it's like, that's a small thing in comparison to, hey, your life is there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I knew, that was for the Sunset fight. That was leading up. I was like, I knew that the love and the passion and the preparation and the, hard work was being put in. I just needed to get inside the octagon. I needed to have those feelings of, fear, of, anxiety, being anxious, nervous. I haven't felt that in so long in those fights,
Right.
And it just going into that Sunset fight, man, I had all those feelings, and I was like, holy man, it feels like I'm 14 again, getting in my first boxing match. I was so nervous again. I was like, holy, this is awesome. I think when you have those, your senses are heightened. And for me, that's what I took away from it. Like, the performance was great, everything was great. I didn't get hit in the fight, stayed at the game plan, stayed calm, picked my shots, got a big knockout. But what I take from number one from that was the love and the passion was back. And so I knew whatever I had to go through to get, the 3 losses, the kidney infection, the infection coming back 2 weeks before the fight, to go in there and get the fight. Like, when I was faced with COVID and the effects that it had on me, it had to pull out of a title fight. Like, I wasn't as bummed or, upset. I didn't let it derail my focus because I didn't want to set in negativity in my mind, because I worked so hard to battle those out of my mind from the years of losses and, from those 3 fights, just to, self-doubt, get those out of your head. It's things happen. This is life, stay focused, stay of course. It's a journey. It's, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. This is, life's a marathon, fighting's a marathon. Things don't happen overnight. It comes, they can, but, in our sport, usually, people see the rise and like, oh, wow, he did it so fast, but they don't know the mountains you had to climb.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So just knowing that, and kind of looking back on things that I've been through in my life, knowing like, hey, like, if this is the worst thing that I'm faced with, and I live a pretty blessed life, with all the things that I have going on, and that I have great things in my life. So that's one thing, just staying focused on like, all right, this is the journey, this is what you sign up for better or worse, there are highs and lows, to find that balance. And I think that's what I was been able to find the last, year and a half, was just balance, peace and chaos. I think I've always lived my life with a little bit of chaos, but finding peace inside that chaos.
By
I
the
feel
eye of
like,
the storm, though, right?
yeah, eye of the storm, exactly. And that's where I find peace at, Kevin, is inside that octagon. That's where I feel like the world slows down for me. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is my, this is my passion. This is what I set out on this earth to do, is to be a fighter. I have the dream. I have the visions, the manifestations, the visualizations of it, the hard work, the dedication, and being a tough son of a gun, definitely goes in the mix
Well, you're one
to
of
make
the
your
toughest
dreams
to do
go.
it. But the thing is, there's a lot, you've had a ton of knockouts in your career. There's a lot of guys that are great fighters, legitimately great fighters, and legitimately big punchers who don't have a knockout like you had against the Sunsao, that walk-off Mark Hunt type, thing. When you landed that punch, can you describe the feeling that coursed through your body at that point? Because I know, there was a lot of emotions that had to go into it. You described the battle to get to the fight,
Yeah.
and also all the, you had wanted to get back on the winning track after a couple of losses. What went through your body after, what is going to be a highlight for the rest of your career?
Yeah, I knew once when I did the first time and he followed me with his right hook, and I dipped again. I did like an 8-inch dip and then a 6-inch dip. I knew once the punch was coming, it was landing. I knew he was not getting up from it. I just knew, you know, the power comes from the ground, so ground, that was like probably the, about your body and how it generates power that's probably the hardest punch that you could throw,
Yeah.
and hit with. And I just knew that it landed flush, and,
That's kind of what Tyson did. He used to come up like that.
yeah. Me and Mike, we talked a lot about it after. He's like, man, you remind me, that's how you're, dipping and going that second, third level and bring that power. And he was, we talked after the fight, and he was, super excited, happy, and, congratulated me. And, so yeah, so he said, man, I'm so happy you're back. And I was too, you know what I mean? Like, it's a great win, but, like I said, taking all that away from, that shit was just bonus to me. Like, having the passion back, having those nerves, those feelings of walking down to the octagon, coming here to fight week, just the little things that maybe I not really took for granted, but I just didn't really like put in the thought, like, oh man, like, all right, here we are, I'm with my team, I'm with, we're fight week, we're going to do these workouts, just everything that amounted to that moment, the wins, the losses, the setbacks, the heartaches, the lowest of lows and the highest of highs. But, I knew that I was going to be stuck in that dilemma or life forever. It was about me choosing to change it. That's the thing about fighting. Like, we ultimately have the decision. We're the ones that throw the punches or slip to the right or slip to the left. That's on us, and those losses, those were on me. I mean, my coaches and teammates and family and supporters did everything they could have done to back me. And ultimately it was just me just not really giving a care for what went on in there, and the passion. I was just clocking in and clocking out. All right, here we are, we're fighting, and like I said, the passion's back. That's what I mean. I am so excited. So excited to be back. Like, and then obviously everything else happened. But like I said, I learned and grew from the kidney infection and being out with the injuries and tearing the hands, and after the Pedro fight, breaking the hand after the TJ fight. So just things like that, man. I think that all was a combination of, how bad do you want this? How bad do you want to be successful? How bad do you want to be the best? You're gonna have to willing to give up, go through some of the toughest times of your life to come out on top. And I think that's with anything that you do in your life. If you're passionate and you're successful, it's not going to be easy, but it's definitely going to be worth it. And that's where I'm at right now. It's worth it.
I'll wrap this up with you, asking you about Rob Font. In a lot of ways, he's like a mirror image of you. And, he's had adversity in his career, and he's a guy, and he's a striker and an aggressive fighter, and, a fun fighter. So obviously I look at this and I say, hey, this is going to be a fun fight, that if you like two guys getting in there and kicking ass, you're going to see that. How do you look at this fight? I mean, he's one spot above you in the rankings. I think he would probably admit this, you have the bigger pedigree and you've done more in the sport. How do you see this fight? And do you feel like this is a good match for you at this point in your career?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great match. I don't think that you get into the top 5 in the UFC rankings, not being tough, not being skillful, not being talented. So first and foremost, respect to that. But honestly, man, I feel like what I did in this camp to prepare, when opportunity meets preparation, it's going to be success. However I want this fight to end, finish, do inside there, I know that I'm able to do. I feel like this is the most complete martial artist that I have ever stepped inside of an octagon. And he's a striker and I'm a striker. And, he has a good jab, but I have power. So if you were a betting man, Kevin, would you rather have a good jab or a power?
I'd rather have both, but I guess if it was one, I love that punching power. That ends the fight.
That's right, man. Hey, punching power can change the whole fight. You can jab, but man, my movement, my hands and my feet, that's what everyone thinks. Man, my hands are so fast, but if you look at my, exits and entries, my footwork and speed to get away and evade, he's going to be swinging that air in there. That jab's going to be dropping, and, he's going to be getting tired, getting desperate, trying to come in and make a fight. And, he throws a lot of jabs, which is good. I'm excited for this matchup. I'm excited for, his skills, my skills, and ultimately whose will is going to be stronger in there. And that's how it's going to.
I'm going to get one more person to read my story today, because I wrote a betting column on Cody Garbrandt against Rob Font. So I don't want to give anything away, but I'll let you go ahead and read it.
I have to read it. I have to check it out.
So.
All right, buddy. Appreciate
Cody
it, Kevin. You have a
Garbrandt
good
on
day, man.
Saturday against Rob Font over at UFC Apex. We appreciate you, brother. Good luck to you.
Woo. All right, man. Thank you.